these early morning videos, I don't know why, but they're just so good. Maybe my brain is working better in the morning. Well, of course it should. Coffee is of course a good way of waking up, but a good way of also waking up, increasing your blood pressure, increasing your anger, is actually reading some Darwinian nonsense in the morning, which is something, I don't know why, I just addicted to it, right? I'm just so addicted. So I wanted to talk about suffering and pain and anguish that we go through. We give this suffering, pain and anguish, we give this precedence in life, because everybody in life, rich, poor, young, old, man, woman, child, you are going to face some form of calamity, pain, some problem in life. That's the reality of life. And the Quran, God mentions that we shall surely, God shall trust you with loss of life and wealth and health, and you'll just be tested with good and evil throughout your life. Anyway, from an evolutionary perspective, let's look at a very painful situation, and let's look at the Quranic paradigm, or even not even the Quranic paradigm, the paradigm of anyone that's a bit rational, right? Okay, so we have, the most painful thing you can imagine is losing a child. And not just losing a child in terms of the child dying, but in terms of the child being kidnapped, the child being lost. That's the most painful thing a human being can go through. And that's a reality of life. It does actually happen. In the Quran, it mentions the story of Joseph and how he became lost, and then his father cried for him to the point that he lost his eyesight. That's a very painful thing to go through, a mother to lose a child or a father to lose a child. It's like that. From an evolutionary explanation, what do we have? What solace can we get? What existential advice does Richard Dawkins give us in The Selfish Gene? He tells us it is to an organism's benefit that a rival or another organism raises its child. It's to a mother's benefit that the child is raised by someone else, because the mother can then spend her resources on raising other children, and therefore that increases its evolutionary fitness because your genes are more preserved in the population. That's such a deep meaning, isn't it? So fantastic, It gives so much comfort. Go up to a mother that's lost a child, whose child is missing for a few years. The child could be it could be a grown-up man who's missing, and his mum could be 80, and go up to her and just tell her this. Such a beautiful explanation, isn't it? But look at the Quranic explanation, that this life is a test of good and evil, and every single human being will go through it, and suffering has a meaning behind it. You don't even have to be Muslim to recognize this. Viktor Frankl, his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he speaks about the horrible situation for the Jewish population in Nazi Germany, in Auschwitz. Auschwitz, I think, is in Poland, but under Nazi occupation. And he just speaks about this such a difficult situation that human beings are in. And in that difficult situation, he published a book literally in 1946, straight after the Second World War. He says, it's the meaning you give the suffering which makes it bearable, which makes life bearable. And that meaning is not going to be some pathetic evolutionary one. It's all right. It's all right if they took away your child. It's all right if they took away your family, because now you have more resources to spread your offspring. This is why Darwinism is nonsense. It doesn't explain human behavior. It's pathetic. And the Quranic paradigm, or the rational paradigm, we should just call it, right? That makes a lot more sense, because it gives meaning to suffering. Because look, if you have a problem in life, That problem is there. If you turn away from God, it's there. If you turn towards God, it's still there. But turning to that problem with God makes the problem a million times easier. Without God, it's a million times harder. And then it becomes a trillion times harder when an idiot comes along and says, hey, don't worry if you lost your child, because now you have more energy and time and resources to produce more offspring. Want to have sex? No, that's stupid. No one is going to accept that stupid explanation, which is why Darwinism is a delusion, a grand hysteria, which is gripping the world. And one video at a time, bi'iznillah, with the permission of God, I'm going to try and tackle it. Because people need to move away from this nonsensical view and come to a more rational understanding about the world.